What's going on, YouTube viewers? I'd like to say thank you for watching all my hunting videos, and there'll be more to come, I promise you. I've been real busy with training and work, but I will have some coming out here pretty soon. Rifle season's 3 weeks away for 2015, and I've had a couple people ask me as far as what I use for rifle. Last year in all those videos you've seen, I want to say last year, I've been using an AR-15, a home build 20-inch barrel, 223 caliber, just because it was lightweight. Before that, I used to always carry this Remington 700 in a 308 caliber, and I absolutely love this gun. I've had it for probably 10 years now, and I've shot out to a grand with it, and I love it. This thing is very accurate. And the only downfall that I don't like about it, especially when we're out hunting, is it's freaking heavy. I mean, this thing weighs like 16, 17 pounds. And after a while, it takes a toll on my back, and I don't want nothing to do with this thing by the end of rifle season. So this year, I told myself I got a brand new spotting scope. I got a Leupold Mark 4 spotting scope to go along with my Mark 4 scope that I have here. So I told myself that I will, in fact, be carrying this rifle again. I want to do a couple changes for this year coming up, so that's what I wanted to talk about. So first off, I got Harris Bipods. I got the Leupold Mark 4, and this is in a 6.5 to 20 power with a 50mm objective lens. I got my own homemade cheek piece I have here, as you can see. This is just out of ABS pipe. I want to say it was a 6-inch pipe that I cut, heated on my barbecue grill, flattened it out, cut it to shape, and then I went ahead and bought some carriage bolts and some knobs, and it's adjustable up and down. I have it set perfect right now. It does have a 26-inch bull barrel, and the trigger is set to about 3.5 pounds. And like I said, it's accurate. I absolutely love this thing. I've already went ahead and put a little JB weld on the back of this base to make sure it's perfectly level. I've already lapped the lugs to get that little smoother action. And I've also added this tactical bolt knob. This is all stuff I've done myself, by the way. This is an H&S precision stock, and as you can see, the rifle is in a left-hand action. The one thing about this stocks, I have no idea why, is they come with little to no recoil pad on them. I've actually already cut this one off, and I used to always have this Limb Saver slip-on that is very comfortable, and I like it for a long time, but it's a slip-on, it comes off. It's kind of annoying. So for this year, I went to a Limb Saver grind to fit recoil pad. And this is the Nitro version. So you can see it's a lot thicker, and it has the hard plastic base here. And it does come with 2 stainless steel screws. So all you do is literally line up your screw holes, screw it in, mark where you need to make it, line it up, and then you take it to your wheel, your grinding wheel, whatever tool you're using, and you just shave it down, take your time with it obviously, till you get that perfect fit, and you're done. So I'm gonna go ahead, and this is one thing I'm gonna add today. Another item I wanted to add was the Wheeler anti-cant indicator. Especially if you got a rifle that's capable and a scope that's capable to shoot at distance, you need some kind of bubble level device. You'd be surprised by a little bit of cant in your rifle when you're shooting at distance at 1,000. I mean, you could be off by as much as 3 feet. So this is another item. There's a lot out there. Check them out on the internet, Amazon, eBay, stuff like that. They do get pretty pricey, and this is one that I seen by Wheeler Engineering. It was 30 bucks or something like that on Amazon. So I'm gonna try this out. And another cool thing I like about this is that it folds away. So I thought that was pretty cool. We'll try that out. Obviously the scope's gonna have to come off in order for this to go on. Not a big deal, because another thing I wanted to do was this whole stock is gonna get removed, cleaned up, and we're gonna do a little paint job on it. Figured it's been black for a long time. Time to give it a new look. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Alright, so like I said, I already removed the previous recoil pad that was here, and as you can see, there's some type of, I want to say this is like a lead weight, just a piece of metal that's in here. So I'm going to grind this smooth first of all, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so as you can see now, looks like I got most of it off, and it's pretty straight. Ooh, a little hot. Little hot. Let's take care of that right quick. So, I mean, if you had a large grinding wheel, this probably would be a little bit easier, but I just used a angle grinder and took it off that way. Just using what I got, but it works. So, not bad at all. Still a little hot. But that is actually pretty straight. So. Okay, cool. Now for the next step. Alright, so the next step, now that we got it flattened and cleaned up, we want to line up our recoil pad to the rifle itself. Now, just by looking at it, I already measured it, and the holes should already be lined up. And in some instances, they might not actually line up to your rifle, so you might have to make a new hole in your stock. But that's pretty straightforward, no big deal there. Oh, there we go. So push the screw through, and we are going to line it up. And you're just going to get it started. You don't want to snug it down too tight. You just want enough to where you know it won't move when you're making your outline to where you need to grind it. That's all. If you're doing this on a wood stock, you might want to use a little soap or some kind of lubricant when you're first threading it in, as to not split the wood or strip it out. This should be pretty good. It kind of holds it. Yeah, so it lines up pretty good so far. Now, when you buy these, there's a small, medium, and large. So you have to look on the website and see the size that it starts off with and how far down you can grind it to. They actually have the overall size and the grind down to size. So take your measurements and then just pick out which one will work best for you. Okay, so it's not moving there. Alright, so that's good. Now the next thing I want to do is simply just trace it out. I think it's going to be a little hard to tell, so I might just scribe it out. I'll probably just use this blade this one. Okay. Sorry if you can't see it that well, but you get the idea. Alright, so should be scribed pretty good all the way around now. Yep. Now I'm going to take it off. Now I have my mark, and then I'm going to grind it to that line. And a little bit at a time once you get close to the line, and keep just doing a quick dry fit so you know you didn't go too far. Alright, let's do it. Okay, so we're pretty much done with the buttstock. So cleaned it up, it's nice and flat, and I finished grinding it for the most part. And as you can see, it's a pretty good fit. So nice thick pad, just contoured around all the way around, nice and smooth. I noticed that using 220 grit sandpaper seemed like it was leaving a lot of rough spots, or wasn't taking it off enough. Once I went to 180, it started to work it out a little smoother and clean it up a little bit better. So keep that in mind. Now the next thing is, I already went ahead and drilled a secondary hole right here, and there is an aluminum frame in here. This hole here is for this Picatinny rail that I have. It's going to go on just like that. Now what this is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to have my bipods with a quick release attachment, and I'll be able to put them on and take them off whenever I want, quick and easy. Just to shave a little weight when I want, or as you can see, these are pretty long. I also have another set in shorter length, so that way I could switch from bipod to bipod. So that's a nice option there. And then I'm gonna have another attachment just for my sling. That way I'm not gonna have to undo these, undo the sling, put it all back together. Just quick and easy. I still have to tap this hole out here. Probably do that later. Now the next thing is, I'm going to do a quick alcohol wipe on this whole thing, and I'll probably scuff it up maybe with 180 or like a 220 grit sandpaper, just to get the spray paint to stick onto it pretty good. Now when you're using the alcohol, acetone or alcohol, keep in mind that a lot of these stocks are filled with styrofoam, Roseau foam, some type of foam. And the alcohol and acetone, actually I take that back. I think it's just acetone. I think it's just the acetone. Will actually eat away at the foam. It'll turn it into a gel. Like, it'll literally eat it away. So be very careful when using it. Try not to get a whole bunch in the holes or wherever the foam is exposed. So stick to the alcohol instead. So like I said, we'll wipe it down, we'll sand it down, just get it so the paint will stick to it, and then we'll do a secondary wipe, and then we'll blast it with paint. Before we paint it, I'm actually gonna use pantyhose. Yes, very awkward to buy this at the store, by the way, but Alright, so at this point, we finished sanding it down. I blew it off. I already did an alcohol wipe a few times. So now I'm going to do a final alcohol wipe. I'm going to make sure I wear gloves so I don't get any kind of oils from my hands onto the stock, and then it ends up ruining the paint job. So glove up and then do a final wipe, and then just make sure you keep turning it over. The paper towel, excuse me. You keep turning over the paper towel. So you see, once you get it dirty, try to just flip it around and just keep it going. Should work out. And then just make sure you get it real nice and clean with the alcohol. Now after this, we'll go ahead and wrap it with the pantyhose liner. and we should be ready for paint. Alright, looking good. Let's wrap it. So I have one pantyhose here. Already cut the leg off, so should be pretty good. I guess just wrap it. See which way do I want to do it. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, I'm marking that. Oh yeah. Oh, that's gonna come out badass. I can already tell. So it's kind of hard to tell, but you get the idea. It's gonna almost look like it's got scales. You know, you just want to make sure you stretch it throughout the whole thing, and then I don't know if I want to have it. Maybe I will have it hanging just like that. I think that'll work out okay. Yeah, it's not bad. All right, let's do it. All right, so looks like we're ready for paint now. As far as the paint goes, one of the things I like to use is this Krylon camouflage paint. Comes in an ultra flat. There's a couple different colors. It works really good as long as you apply it carefully. You know, you do your alcohol wipe and stuff, sand it down. It sticks really good and it lasts quite a while. I was pretty surprised. But I'm going to try out this new Rustoleum multi-textured paint. It actually has a grit to it. So I'm going to try that out and see how that looks. Good? Yeah, in a little bit. Let me do this and then I'll go. So, I've used this before and it wasn't too bad. But I haven't really seen the durability of it. So, we'll see how it works out maybe in a few months. If anything, I can always reapply it, strip it, and do another color. Alright, let's do it. One thing when you're doing this, obviously be in an open ventilated area, and when you apply it, start light. Alright, as you can see, we got it back on the bench here. It's pretty dry now. I think I like it. It's got a cool little look to it. It's got a gritty feel like sandpaper. So maybe it'll wear off, but again, I'm not too worried about it. I can always repaint it. So I put the action back on, and now I want to torque these screws back down. One thing when you're torquing these screws, you want to make sure you have a good, precise tool. Then you're torquing them down correctly. You can actually throw your accuracy off by having these screws over torqued or not torqued enough. So again, I have another tool from Wheeler Engineering. This is called the Fat Wrench. Pretty nice. Comes as a torque wrench up to 65 inch-pounds, and then with a set of keys for just about everything I need. So we'll start with the front, and we're going to go to 30 inch-pounds. So that's about there. Now we're going to go to the rear. Make sure it's on good. 30 inch-pounds. Now we're going to actually go to, I think I'll put it right at 60. 65 is a little high. Right about there. So get a second one. Okay, that's right at 60. Okay, that should be pretty good there. Now, not too bad. So, kind of get a cool little look. It's got kind of like a snake type pattern. I guess it would have came out a little nicer if I used a lighter color, but I've already done khaki, so I want to do something different. Figured the dark brown would look cool. So, not bad. You know, just something to say, call it my own, you know. So, next is the scope. Okay, so now we got the scope mounted onto the rifle. It's mounted on pretty loose right now. They are back in the same location that they were previously. But doing a quick dry fit, one thing I noticed that adding in this bubble level, that it was going to interfere with my ring nut right down here. So what I was thinking of doing is, I think I'm going to take these rings off and flip them over so the nut's actually on the other side. That way there's nothing interfering with this bubble level. And then, before we put the scope on, we're going to lap the rings to make sure that the front ring to the rear ring, that they're both aligned 100% correct to each other. You know, it's kind of like a line honing the rings together. And I got a tool, again, Wheeler Engineering has a tool for lapping the rings. Great thing to do, especially if you want to get long distance accuracy out of your rifle. And I'll show you exactly how to do that. So, right now, we know we want the rings in this location. Already got the caps off, and then the scope will get removed. Now, you can kind of see that these rings are worn a bit, but if you notice, you know, it's only worn in some spots and not the whole thing, meaning that these rings don't have 100% contact with the scope. And that's what we're going to fix right now. So, first off, you want to flip them around like we talked about.
Say you were going to work on homework.
I'm about to. So then, put that. Now, before you tighten these down, you want to make sure that the rings are pushed all the way forward. Notice that there's some play in there. You want to make sure that they're pushed all the way forward, and then you can snug them down. Now what that does is, that's going to reduce the risk of having any kind of play from recoiling when you shoot the rifle. They won't come loose, they won't move on you. So, let's see right here. Push them all the way forward. Alright. Now we're going to go ahead and torque these rings down. Alright, so got the right size socket, and we're going to go ahead and torque these down to 60 inch-pounds. Should do this. And we're going to do the same thing in a sequence torque. So we're going to start at 30 and then go up to 60. Come on. And again, I'm going to make sure I push all the way forward in it as I'm torquing. Okay, that one's good. That's good. Alright, should be good to go. So now we know the rings are torqued to spec. Now this tool I have two little honing blocks. So what we do is so if you notice, Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. Those are just alignment blocks. So just by looking at these, you know that they're aligned pretty good, that they're right on each other. Now, depending on some of the rifles, they could be way off. I had my dad's Ruger, what is it, a Mark II, his 300 Win Mag. I'll make another video of that. That thing was horrible. He's had it for a long time. It used to shoot good, and then last couple of years it's been shooting pretty bad. So I took it apart, I redid the whole thing, and one of the things is Ruger has these really weird scope rings. Absolutely horrible. And if you over torque those scope rings, they will actually twist. And it'll induce a twist in the scope. So I had it worked down quite a bit. But as you can see, this one's pretty good. So at least we know they're lined up well. Now the next thing, so we got our action bar here, we got 220 grit lapping compound, and then we got the actual knob to work it with. You only really need to do this to the lower part of the scope rings. You don't need to do the top. You could if you want to. It's kind of unnecessary because this is where the clamping force comes, and down in here is where it actually sets in place. Again, if it's really bad, you might want to do both. But seeing how I'm pretty close, not gonna worry about it. So you just take a little bit of this, put some in here, and all it is a gritty paste. It doesn't take much, you don't need to cake it on. Okay, get a little off my finger. Keep this close. Now, you set this on here, and you just kind of work it back and forth a little bit, and with that twisting motion. Now again, you want to make sure that you have your rings exactly where you want and that they're already torqued down. Because if you have to move them or adjust them front or back, then they might be off again a little bit. You might have to do this whole process over again. Now, you might have to do this a few times, so just keep working it. Keep checking it, keep working it. If you need to add a little bit more, add a little bit more. But this is something you want to just take your time with. Now if you notice, a lot of the paint has gone away now, and it's starting to look more like one even surface on here. So there's a red mark in there, or excuse me, not red, there's a black line right down the middle. So that's probably the low spot of this ring. But for the most part, it looks pretty even. Let's see what this other one looks like. You can kind of see. Now if you look at this one, there's a lot of black in the middle of that ring, meaning that that's a big low spot compared to here. So we're going to work this a little bit more and have it so they both look a little bit more uniform. Okay, so it looks like I'm pretty much done. Now, if I take a light to it, you see this small line here? See how most of the paint is gone and it's pretty smooth? That small black line in there, that's the low spot of this ring. Now if you look over here, there's a bigger black area. So that would be the low spot of this ring. So all the silver was the high spot. Now, they don't exactly have to be uniform, but what you're looking for is when you put the alignment tool on it, that they're actually lined up perfect to each other. Now, I was already pretty close to begin with, but as you can see, obviously there was some type of slight difference between the rings. Now, see if it'll stay. I'm a little canted right now on here, so you can see it with the camera. Just kind of holding this one there very lightly. You notice that these are right on point to each other. Now, you always want to check from the top looking down, make sure your left and right is good, and your horizontal, that your up and down is good. And that's pretty much right on point. It's a little hard because it's at an angle, it wants to fall off, but that's good. I'm happy with that. So now, I'm gonna clean it up. Maybe put a little alcohol, or yeah, wipe it down with a little alcohol. Make sure these holes are all cleaned out real good, and we'll go ahead and mount the scope. Alright, so now we got it back on the vise. We cleaned it up. Now the next thing is we want to go ahead and try to level the rifle and the action as best as we can. So again, part of the Wheeler engineering kit that I have here is I have this small bubble level with a magnetic base. So this is going to go at the end of the barrel, right at the end, and I'm going to put it right on top and make sure that we're level, which we are. So we're level up and down with the action pretty good. Now the next set is, this might be a little tricky, I should have moved it a little bit further back, but bolt's gonna come out. So take that back. We'll put this ring, this bubble level, right on top of the scope, just like that. Now the next one, there's another bubble level part of the kit, as you can see here. Now this one also has a magnetic base. This one actually goes inside, right on the track. I'm not liking that. I want to put it. I don't like that at all. Okay, that's not too bad. It'll just stay right rested there. Now I want to move this as far back as I can to the action and down at the bottom. It might stick to the sidewall instead of the bottom. So right there, it's actually stuck to the bottom. Now I want to level off this bubble level. Ease up a little bit on the vise. Now because there's some gap in between the actual bubble and the two lines, to get a little bit more precise, we're going to line it up to one side of the line. So this is right at the inner line. That's perfect. Now we're going to go back to our scope, and we're going to do the same to our scope. And that is right on point right there. A little bit off. Okay, without touching anything. Yep, I'm happy with that. So now, very carefully, we will attach our rings and start the torquing it down. Just make sure everything's nice and clean. And then I'm not going to worry about Loctiting these just yet, because I'm going to actually do this a second time. I'm going to get it really close I'm gonna run these screws in, and I'm gonna have them just a little loose. So now I can adjust for the in and out of the scope. Once I put my cheek piece on, I can adjust it to my actual face and how I like to shoot. So make sure you do the whole crisscross pattern as you run these in, and pay close attention to the actual gap that you end up getting at your rings. So you might have a large gap on one side and nothing on the other. So. Should put me pretty close to where I want to be. Okay, it's pretty close. Now we'll check it again after it's been torqued. Put this right in the middle. And I'm right on one line, and I'm right on that line as well with the action. We'll go back to our barrel. And we are also still level. So that's how you level a scope. Out of here. Now again, now these are just a little loose. I still got to tighten this one down now. Actually, we might as well do that right now. Alright, so it looks like I'm all done with my rifle here. Paint job's done, scope's mounted. I got the bubble level mounted and out of the way for lefty. Got my cheek pad adjusted just like I want. The new recoil pads on there, pretty nice. And like I said earlier, if you can see here, I went ahead and added this Picatinny rail. Just put in 2 small stainless steel screws. And then I added this mount. It's just an old mount I had with a swivel stud for a sling. So I got my sling attached. Now what this lets me do is, depending on the situation, whether I'm bench shooting, rifle shooting, I'm able to attach my rifle. Let me get on here. There you go, just like that. And you know, I have another bipod. I could remove it and switch to different bipods and stuff like that, or just take it off completely, and I don't have to mess with it too much. So just kind of like that, makes it a little nicer. So there you go, Remington 700, ready to shoot. Now, sorry for the video being so long, but thanks for watching. I really wanted you guys to see the actual process of what it takes to do all the work. But not too bad, I'm excited, ready to go shooting. Thanks guys, take it easy.